Hi, I'm Linus Sebastian. There's no greater source of joy in this world than a personal computer. But every day, elderly devices like this one find themselves without a home, discarded, abandoned, forgotten. So I'm here today to ask you, not for a donation, but just for a moment of your time to listen as we show you a path to a future where you and your slightly obsolete gaming PC can pwn together once more. This is your chance to say, I won't sit by while a computer suffers. EK Water Blocks' all-aluminum fluid gaming lineup offers great water cooling performance for an affordable price. Learn more at the link in the video description. So when Taryn first came to me and proposed building a custom arcade box, I immediately demanded he get back to work and stop wasting company time. A short while later, coincidentally, I independently came up with a brilliant idea. Why don't we build our own custom arcade box? So first then, we set out to construct the computer that we would build the arcade box around. This is Linus Tech Tips, so we could have easily strapped SLI Titans and an 8K monitor to a piece of plywood and called it a day. But the hardware demands of emulating ancient software are actually very light. And besides, silly intro bit aside, we wanted the focus of this video to be on showing how you can get a little more mileage out of your components that are nearing the end of their useful life. So it was important to us that every part of our computer was something that would be coming up on replacement age and readily available secondhand. In the end, for a really reasonable price, we were able to put together what would have been a respectable mid-range gaming PC circa 2011, with just one unusual requirement. We wanted a video card with an S-video output because we are totally gonna rock a CRT in our finished build for authenticity. Once all of the hardware was in place, we were ready to set up our front end, the program that wraps everything together in order to use MAME, the go-to but notoriously command line only arcade emulator that's been around since the mid-90s. The front end allows us to peruse our vast collection of legally obtained software and then run it in the emulator. Our first pick was RetroArch, a front end that handles a number of different emulators and has an infamously innovative menu design. While it took a little internet archaeology to assemble all the files we needed, we were actually able to get it up and running, just not quite to our satisfaction. Without endless tinkering, it messed with MAME's control layouts too much to try to conform them to its own, and a lot of our legally obtained software couldn't be detected. So we had a conundrum on our hands. We wanted to stick with open source software, but most of the purpose-built arcade front ends that met our standards, well, they're proprietary. So we dug deeper into the depths of the internet and discovered a relatively new front end called Attract Mode. With a healthy community making skins and plugins, Attract Mode gave us the perfect storm of form and function. It even supports scripting, which will be important later on in our project. Well, that's all fine and good, but at this point, all you got, Linus, is a geriatric PC running emulation software. That's a far cry from the full-on arcade experience that I was expecting. I mean, look at this thing. So yeah, you're right. We needed joysticks, buttons, light guns, and a big, beautiful monitor to show it off on. So I tasked my staff with scouring Craigslist and eBay for some previously loved accessories that we could dust off and put to use again. We were able to find multiple sources for everything we needed. This was actually the smoothest experience we've ever had buying guns off Craigslist. When it came to buttons and joysticks though, we found the secondary market to be basically non-existent. You can order one of the pre-built arcade decks that are out there, but we really wanted to customize our own. So we did. After some research, we reached out to Andy over at Ultimark in the UK, which is one of the better known arcade part suppliers for enthusiasts, and after a couple minutes of browsing their website, found exactly what we wanted. RGB. Yes! So we asked for 30 of their classic RGB buttons with 7 Ultralux Chrome buttons for special functions, and yup, that's right, they even have RGB sticks too. So the 2 servo sticks we went with have interchangeable handles, and with some clever software, they can automatically change from 8-way to 4-way, which is great when you're switching between your completely legitimate copy of Pac-Mister to something like Street Conflict. But what about games that use analog controls? Haha! Well, that's where the UltraStick 360 comes in. It uses a Hall effect sensor in order to determine where the stick is, making it incredibly accurate and durable. Add in their RGB trackball and a spinner, and we are covered for all of our button and stick games. But what would an arcade box be without slick shooting games? Your House of the Recently Deceased or Time Conundrum? Well, we plugged in those light guns that we bought, expecting to be immediately putting zombies back in the ground, and that's where we hit a major setback. Who could have guessed? While the GunCon 2s that we obtained were technically functional, the drivers they require are ancient. And in order to install them successfully, we would have had to use composite video. Not good enough for us from a retro purist standpoint. And the other set we picked up was a used pair of Act Labs USB light guns. But we ended up running into another problem with them. They were designed specifically for PC main cabinets, so we would have ended up using janky USB to game port adapters, and frankly, they just felt kind of crummy anyway. So we ended up reaching out to Ultimark, hey, it's us again, and they sent us these bad boys. These AimTrack IR light guns worked perfectly with our system, and they even fire sideways, biatches. Which brings us then to finding the right TV. If you want to use traditional light guns, you will need a CRT. You can learn more about why that is here. So these ones we got locally work, and the prices were definitely right, but S-Video ended up being pretty disappointing, and scaling games from different eras was problematic. So back to eBay we went, and there we managed to procure a Toshiba PureFlat CRT out of a Namco machine that takes both retro RGB and VGA. That's important because this thing can take signals that range from the chunky dots that Pac Gentleman eats all the way up to the super fresh sprites in Street Conflict 3 and display them as they were originally intended. Okay then, so we have our hardware together, we have all the software set up, now we just need something to put it all into. Now our original plan was to either find a decommissioned arcade cabinet or just build one ourselves out of scrap plywood. But while both of those are valid options for sure, we wanted to make the final product as cool as possible to show you guys just how far you can go. So we reached out to Scott over at North Coast Custom Arcades, and this is actually how it went down. Basically begged him to let us use one of his Ultimate Arcade 2 cabinet kits. He was happy to oblige, and actually for good measure, even threw in the classic control panel kit and all the mounts we'd need to get our display in place. A major potential issue for these large and heavy CRT monitors. And the end result, goes without saying, is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, you don't need to go all out like we did. And with high-end CRTs no longer in production, some parts of the experience are gonna get harder and harder to recreate as time goes on, even if you did want to go all out. But we're really glad that we took on this project. With a home arcade box, you can play your favorite games with your friends, just like you might have as a kid, way back in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s. with the buttons and joysticks feeling exactly how you remember them. The screen and emulator's surprising authenticity help drive that home, and with our custom cabinet, the whole thing just exudes quality, like we just put together a kit from Sega or Namco themselves for our bowling alley quarter muncher. Not that it needs to munch quarters anymore. That's the real reason people invest hundreds and hundreds of dollars in these things. You just have a button to continue. Woo! But even more than that, the real reason we built it is that a custom cabinet like this adds a touch of retro gaming class to any room. No exceptions at all. Ting is the mobile carrier that's focused on customer service and customer satisfaction. I know, what a concept. When you call Ting to talk to customer support, you actually get put through directly to a person. And you're not paying extra for that level of TLC. The average Ting bill is just $23 a month per device. And if you're stuck in a contract and switch to Ting, they'll even cover 25% of your cancellation fee, up to $75. They have lower mobile data rates. Data's now just $10 a gig beyond the first gig, and every single Ting customer gets the benefits of any rate changes that they make. So head over to linus.ting.com. We've got that linked below, and try their savings calculator to find out if you'll save money on Ting. When you sign up at our link, you'll also get $25 in service credit or towards a shiny new device. So thanks for watching, guys, and coming along on this journey of resurrecting retro hardware. If you disliked it, you can hit that button, but if you liked it, hit the like button, get subscribed, maybe consider checking out where to buy the stuff we featured, well, most of it's used, but whatever, at the link in the video description. Also down there, you'll find our merch store, which has cool shirts like this one, as well as our community forum, which you should totally join.